Absolutely. And right now that moves us now into the NFC North. And as we see every week for the second ones, we have to break out some sort of apparel
Hold
for
on,
what we
let's
got.
put you big for this one.
We got DJ Moore for today, helped me win last year in fantasy and shares the namesake. And this week, Kelcey is going to be joining in the action as well, too. The NFC North is just like the AFC North, a very, very good division. So we had to kind of bring out some of our P's and Q's and another guy who probably won a lot of people some luck in fantasy, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this beauty. Let's see if it'll
Hopefully
stay
he'll
up.
do the
I don't know if
lines
it'll
good.
stay up. But look, hey man, this guy will stay up in the field to play, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And as we saw in that receiver documentary, it's going to take more than a measly major injury to keep him from producing the entire season. So hopefully you do the Lions a little bit better in your predictions than you did for the Bengals, not as far as the jerseys going up. But we're going to move now into the NFC North now for our predictions. And I'll go ahead and get us started really quickly. At the bottom, I do have the Vikings sitting at 6-11. I did make this prediction before JJ McCarthy got hurt. So they might lose a game here or there. It might be even more rough than I thought. But I think the statement still stands. You were either going to have Sam Darnold at quarterback or J.J. McCarthy. I think neither one of them's going to propel you over the top in this division. Defensively, they're retooling still. Justin Jefferson is awesome. Jordan Addison also got hurt today. It looks like he might have a season-ending injury the way he was carted off the field. Vikings are already at the point, if this was Madden, they'd be like, sim ahead to next season. They've already had it up to here with this season, and it's not even August 20th yet. I feel for Vikings fans. Like with the first pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Minnesota Vikings select is already on the clock right now, or they have traded the pick. They just can't catch a break right now. I feel bad for him. Hopefully Jay Jettis gets all the targets so he can at least feast after that contract. And then Hawkinson's not going to come back for a while. Honestly, this says 6-11, and that's what it was when we made the picks. It might even be a little bit worse than that, but I'm gonna stick with 6-11 because I think Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson, those guys can finagle their way into a few surprise wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing.
All good. We'll move on now to at number 3. We do have the Chicago Bears with their own rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams. I have them going 8-9. So I think they get slightly better than last year. There's a lot of talk about them with all the weapons, all the roster, etc. They still have some weak holes on the offensive line they have to patch up. They're still very thin on the offensive line. So if somebody goes down, they're in trouble. And Caleb Williams is still a rookie. Unless expect him to do what CJ Stroud did last year is a little. I think we get spoiled by some of those things. So I think he's going to have his rookie ups and downs. If he throws for 3,800 yards, 3,900 yards. He's the best quarterback in Bears history. Honestly, it's a very low bar. I think he's going to have rookie struggles. I think that's going to have him 8-9. Defensively, they still got playmakers. Receiving core is still awesome when they're healthy. DJ Moore is still awesome. I do think DeAndre Swift is a fun fantasy football pickup. If you need a good RB2, I think he's going to get involved in the passing game a lot. So DeAndre Swift and a good pickup for the Bears. But I have them going 8-9, almost in the thick of the playoff hunt. But the two teams at the top of this division are going to make it very, very difficult for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Honestly, you're a lot more faithful to the Bears, I should say, to the Bears fanship, I guess is a better way to put this, because you're giving them a little bit of hope. Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see what I have to say. But yeah, no, I'm not. I don't hate Caleb, but I will say there's some questions.
I think the people who are calling Patrick Mahomes 2.0 or the second coming, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. The reasonable people like me who think he is a very talented quarterback with a good upside that will have some growing pains, I think they'll see a lot of those. I think there'll be some good plays. And I also, this is a DJ Moore Stan account, so I will get them 8-9 one way or the other. But they still have a little bit of ways to go to make that playoff run. As I have it number 2 spot in the division, the 10-7 Green Bay Packers. Surprisingly good down the stretch last year. Jordan Love caught fire in those last, I think it was 8 games or something like that, where he was 16 touchdowns and 1 interception. I do like Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd coming in there to go along with A.J. Dillon. I think they'll be able to run the heck out of the ball. Their draft was a little bit goofy at the top, but I do think they have an all right offensive line. Good young receivers. Jaden Reed was awesome in that last 10-game stretch. Romeo Doubs is really good. Devondre Wicks, I believe his name is still a very good, competent receiver. Luke Musgrave, a good tight end we didn't see a lot of last year coming out of Oregon State. And Christian Watson's supposed to be healthy now that they got the issue of his hamstrings being 20% different in size after going to a study. I think you get that man out there who his touchdown percentage is absolutely insane because he had that what was it, 6 games where he scored 8 touchdowns his rookie year or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, on something like 16 catches.
Something absolutely asinine like that. Most of them against your Cowboys, unfortunately.
We don't talk about it. Look, the Cowboys give up 3 touchdowns to some Packer every year, and every time they play, and I'm just tired of it. I hate the Packers.
I don't think you played them this year, though, so there you got
Thank
that going for you,
goodness.
at least till the playoffs. But Christian Watson also might be one of the fastest guys in the NFL. So you're adding that dynamicism, that speed at 6'3" too, adding that to the offense that was already good last year. I think they're going to be very, very dangerous. Honestly, they would probably have a better record if they didn't have to share a division with who I have at the top, and that is the Detroit Lions, who I'm going to have at 11-6. I think they're going to be very, very good. I love what they did in the draft too. I do love I love what they did defense. I'm sorry, I can't read. I have them at 12-5. My apologies. Okay, they are better than I thought. So I do have the Lions at 12-5. Offensively, Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think is going to break out now that he luckily dodged that injury scare. David Montgomery, the touchdown scorer himself. Jared Goff behind that league best offensive line, I think we could say. If not the best, it's definitely in the conversation. Jared Goff's able to throw darts. Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rackstraw Jr., Carlton Davis, like they shored up their secondary, which was by far their weakest point. They just need somebody else to get a pass rush besides Aiden Hutchinson. It can't be, please, Aiden, save us. You're our only hope. If somebody else can get after the passer, Jack Campbell in year 2, Dan Campbell leading the way, this team's going to be menacing. So give me the Lions at 12-5 and making some noise. They are the Lions. Hear them roar.
I have no comment other than my Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey fell down. So we'll keep it there for right now.
First down for, Amon-Ra just gets first downs and touchdowns. So it's fitting that the jersey fell down. But now just doing a quick recap of what I have for the NFC North. From the bottom to the top, we have the Vikings finishing at 6-11, the Bears at 9-8, the Packers at 10-7, and the Detroit Lions are going to round things out at 12-5, making a push for that number 1 seed. But we have not gone through all the divisions yet. We have not made all the predictions, so I will not spoil who ends up with the number 1 seed. But as you can very much see, the Lions will be in the thick of things. So, Kelcey, who will be your NFC king in the North?
Yeah, so my king of the North, we'll not get there yet. We're going to start from the bottom. Look, I'm secretly, I guess, when it comes to these things, I'll quote Drake here when we started at the bottom. And we're really starting at the bottom with the Vikings here, 3-14. Yes, I already had this before JJ McCarthy went down. So for all those who are like, oh, you just changed yours. No, nah.
It's true. He had it there ahead of time.
No. Yeah, I have screenshots to tell me I did. Look, this, how do I say this nicely? JJ McCarthy's not an NFL quarterback, healthy or not. Sam Darnold is not playing in California. He's not playing for USC. And even when he did, he was not that good. Stop. Their best decision was to go get Aaron Jones. The problem is they traded all their offensive linemen last year. So what are you going to do to block for them? Are you just going to hope and pray? Because that's not going to work. That's the type of miracle you need for JJ McCarthy to step back on this field and throw the ball to Jay Jettas. Because really, that's your miracle maker right now is Jay Jettas. No offense to Hawk. Love Hawkinson. But his team is not good. The best thing to happen to Kirk Cousins was to no longer be a Minnesota Viking. And I'm so sorry to Kirk for going to the situation he did in Atlanta. We talked about that last episode. But look, it's better than being a Minnesota Viking right now. This team is just not good. It's not built well. And this is probably going to come back to bite me in the butt by picking them 3-14. Because that's just how this division works. But I'm going to ride with it. I'm going to stick with it. This defense needs help. Top to bottom. This team is just a struggle. And it sucks because I think Kevin O'Connell is a good head coach and a good offensive play caller. But he's going to be kind of spited because of these bad draft decisions and bad personnel decisions, which I don't think he has a more than 50% say in. And that's a bad thing for a head coach who's trying to do his own thing and rebuild a team. So, yeah, Minnesota Vikings for me, 3-14 in what's going to be a tough sledding for every fan up in Minnesota.
Well, the good news is if they find themselves in need of a quarterback, they could reach out to Atlanta and ask them if Kirk Cousins is on the trade block because I think if Michael Penix ends up showing out, maybe Kirk Cousins is on the block. I don't know, but we already know what he looks like in a Vikings uniform. We don't even have to Photoshop it. So,
And it sucks, man. They got those all new Arctic white jerseys and helmets too, and like I want to see those win. So hopefully it's one of those 3 wins because I'm not giving a whole lot of hope to this team. But I don't know if Kirk wants to go back to the Great White North. He just got a whole bunch of Coles cash and now belt cash by moving to Atlanta. So I'm pretty sure half his contract is Coles cash, if we're not mistaken here.
And he's gonna have to do some of it on sunscreen because it's gonna be a lot more. It's gonna be a lot hotter down there than he's used to experience in Minnesota. He's gonna see some sunshine more than 3 minutes a week, 3 minutes a year.
Yeah, he's going to get a real farmer's tan now. Anyways, we're going to move on to number 2 because I hate beating up on the Vikings because they're one of my favorite color combinations, jersey sets, and their stadium is sick. And I love Jay Jettas, and I feel so bad for him and Hawk. But also, by the way, just so for what it's worth, because I don't think either one of us mentioned this, Daniil Hunter is no longer a Viking, just so in case anybody missed that too. So that's going to hurt. But yeah, moving to number 3. DJ, I think I'm copying and pasting here. Sort of. The Bears, 5-12. I am the harsh grader here, and you are the much nicer educator grader. You got a red pen. I got the straight up Sharpie marking everything out and redacting it because this is. I don't have faith in a year 1 quarterback ever. And that's just the NFL. That's the nature of the NFL. When a quarterback comes in and surprises me, I'm happy. I love the fact that CJ Stroud came in last year and did well. The difference between CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams is CJ Stroud has always and will always be like a student of the game. And no offense to Caleb. I just don't think he's had to be a student of the game. And what I mean is he very much has a lot of 1 to 2 read offensive plays under Lincoln Riley. That's just the nature of Lincoln Riley's offenses. They are big hitting plays, and they are usually set up on a 2-man combination on the outside. You have an underneath and you have a deep route. Those are the 2 combinations that Lincoln Riley loves. Occasionally, you'll have a comeback and you'll have a couple drags, but it's not very often. If anybody watched that team when Caleb was playing with them at USC or going back to his Oklahoma days, there's not a lot of good things that happen in those offenses after the second read. It's a lot of Caleb, go make something happen and hope something works. And I feel bad saying that, but it is what it is. I hope Caleb does well because he has all of the weapons at receiver he could ever want. You're wearing the DJ Moore jersey. He added Keenan Allen. Oh, by the way, they got Rome Odunze, who I think is one of the best receivers in this class, not named Marvin Harrison Jr. No offense, Malik Neighbors. I think you're good too, but you're also a Giant, so I don't love you like I love the rest. You also went to LSU, so I really already didn't like you to begin with as far as a player goes. No offense to your talents. You are talented. But look, Rome.
Explanation.
Yeah, I know, right? I have to be honest. Like, he is a talented player, but there's reasons I just don't like him as much as everybody else. But I think his defense, on top of that, they got better. But did they get good enough to not be a top 10 pick? No, I don't think so. They got good, but I mean, come on, man. This team is still not there, in my opinion. I hope Caleb proves me wrong. I really do. But I feel bad for Keenan Allen. Feel bad for DJ Moore because they got to go through another young quarterback, another growth with that quarterback. And hate to break it to you, Keenan Allen, this quarterback's not as good as Justin Herbert was. And I hope I'm wrong, but all signs point to me not necessarily being wrong on this one. But yeah, 5-12 for the Bears.
I stand by take DJ Moore in fantasy and stake DeAndre Swift in fantasy. And I will stand by that because I think they're going to be very viable. Don't take them early though. Don't be reckless now. Don't be ridiculous. But in those round 5-6 spots, I think they could produce. But very interesting. A little harsh on the Bears, which means I got a feeling we're going to see some big win totals coming up because there's got plenty of wins that are not accounted for yet.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, between these first 2 teams I mentioned, a combined 3 wins in division. If anybody does the math on that, every team plays 6. There's a lot more wins to be had here, about 9 to be exact. And 4 of them come in division to this next team. That's the Green Bay Packers. If anybody thought last year was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, nope. This happens with the Packers. They lose a quarterback. They go a year that's kind of meh. And then that next year, it's like, oh, that's good. That's real good. Obviously, this one was a little more aggressive than last time because this was the year that you lost your quarterback. And I'm going to count that to the fact that Aaron Rodgers basically went missing in the year before that. But I digress. No, this Packers team fully healthy now. Adding in Josh Jacobs, I think that's a huge win. I love Aaron Jones. As long as he's not playing the Cowboys, I love Aaron Jones even more. This team is just so good, and they've made all the right moves. It feels like you go get safety out of New York. For life of me, thank you, Xavier McKinney. You had Josh Jacobs. You got 2 Alabama guys on your team now to go with your Georgia offensive line, who are finally learning how to not hit referees. But then, yeah, exactly. But then these receivers, these receivers are in a world of their own as far as young, talented receiving cores. I don't know if there's a better young, talented receiving core that's 4 deep. Realistically, if you include tight ends, this is 4 deep because you probably even add 5 because the backup tight end's also good. Luke Musgrave, underrated, but his backup's underrated as well. So yeah, I do like this team. Not my favorite in the division, obviously, but I still like them a lot better than most. Even though I did just say like 20 minutes ago that I don't like the Packers. I do like them this year for coming in second in the NFC North. So
honestly, they could be a very dangerous Super Bowl team too if they could stay healthy. Like that's a very, very good team. And stand by, like I said when I was talking to you, if you put them in another division, they are probably running. Most of the other divisions, they are running away with the division lead, most likely. Unfortunately, they got a little problem at the top of the division.
Yeah, I think this last team, I'm going to go full screen so everybody can see the Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey because that's who I have at the top is the Lions, led by Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs. And as you mentioned earlier, adding Carlton Davis solves one of their major problems, which was, we need a corner. And then not just any corner, we need a top corner. And lockdown himself, Carlton Davis, the man that shut down Mike Thomas and literally ruined the rest of his career, is now in Detroit and has been paid like a top corner. If his health stays good, this team has a steal. And they got rid of one of the most problematic safeties in the league in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who is now Jared's favorite player back with the Eagles again after being his most hated player last year. But I digress. No, it's a good thing for the Lions. They have a lot of talent. This receiving core continues to get better. And I just think anybody who doesn't understand what's happening with the Lions is missing out on one of the greatest rebuilds you've ever seen because Dan Campbell has this team playing unlike any other coach has ever played in the NFL. It's kind of scary in a lot of ways. It's Jimmy Johnson-esque as far as how he gets his players to play for him. And I don't mean that in like, oh, they're not good enough talent-wise. No, they are very talented players, but they all have the same kind of mantra. They all have a chip on their shoulder. They're all trying to prove somebody wrong. Even Aiden Hutchinson, who is a top pick, is trying to prove somebody wrong. We all saw in the wide receiver in the receiver documentary that Amon-Ra St. Brown has every single receiver drafted before him on a list and reads it before the game. We all know how competitive his dad is. We all know how that's led to him being competitive too. But then you add in Sam Laporta, who was kind of the third, fourth fiddle out of Iowa for many years. Most people didn't recognize how good Sam Laporta is. And now this team is ready to go. This offensive line is so good. If anybody doesn't watch Penei Sewell dominate people, you are really missing out on some high quality offensive line play there. And the defense just keeps getting better and growing. And these linebackers, which was a huge hole in this team many, many years in a row, are starting to get better. And that's terrifying because if you have a solid middle linebacker with this team who really likes to play a lot of dime and nickel looks, this team gets better and better every time you watch them. That's all you need is that solid middle linebacker to be able to cover just enough and at least direct. That's all you need. Just fill in the gap and direct. And I think they're getting there. I think this team has the ability to be there. And yeah, I think this is the next evolution we're going to see from Lions here. 15-2 with one of the best records in the NFL this year.
One of the best is I'm curious to see if anyone surpasses that for sure. If they're not your NFC number 1 seed, I'm looking forward to seeing this one in the next couple episodes. And I know it's not the Cowboys, so we can already rule one of them out for
no,
sure.
It's not the Cowboys. Don't worry.
One thing I like about the Lions team is they are very much like they take after the Dan Campbell personality too. Like they're even with all the success and the high flying offense we think about Ben Johnson, all the unique motions, all the fun things. they're still the prototypical punch you in the face type of team.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra is like 5'9", 190 pounds, and he's still trying to body slam people. He's involved in the blocking in the run game as a blocker, like what Houston tried to do with Tank Dell, but not using quite as a fullback. They're not putting him in the halfback dive fullback role. So they're using him in ways that work like that. Jack Campbell is that middle linebacker. He grew a lot. His game elevated a lot faster in the back half of the season than even I thought. He became more than just a thumper. He was able to direct and move serviceable in coverage. No one's getting confused with Fred Warner, but he's serviceable in coverage. So this team looks really good on paper if Teron Arnold and Enos Rackstraw hit. And then you have Carlton Davis, who coined the term slant boy, if I'm not mistaken.
He did coin it for Mike Thomas. I mean, just look, I said it. He single-handedly ruined Mike Thomas's potential earnings for the rest of his NFL career. Because that was the game, his last game. Like his last game came up against Carlton Davis before the injury, and well, we all know what happened there. Slant boy got shut down. So, but no, I think you mentioned Jack Campbell, and his name was escaping me earlier, but he did get better when Alex Anzalone stepped or had to leave the game or leave the season or whatever 4 games because of injury. He really stepped up into that role and filled in that kind of leader on that defense, which is kind of what they brought him in for, anyways. He's going to be that future leader, and obviously Anzalone still being there, being healthy. Wow, we all know what leadership he can bring. And off the edge, he is still kind of that 5th guy that if they bring him down off the edge, he can still get to the quarterback. So I do like this team a lot. And by the way, Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you want to talk toughness, when he was asked if you want any former receiver or current receiver's toughness, his answer was Hines Ward. If nobody knows what Hines Ward used to do, Amon-Ra St. Brown fits that mold. Small guy, just blast people. Love it. So give me the Lions here, 15-2. That's a crazy record.
The last name shot I'll give is your boy Sione Vaki out of Utah, the running back / defensive back / whatever you need. You find a way to get him on the field
this year.
That's a very perfect fit for them. So I agree with you. I like this team a lot. Maybe not quite as much as you. At least having the jersey up there, you respected them this time, unlike you did in the AFC North. So I like this team a lot. They're going to be scary.
Like, I'm realistic sometimes. Then there's the team I have been banging this drum for so long. I need to see them succeed. I think I went on a 16-week stretch over 3 seasons where I got every time I picked the Lions as my premier game, I was right. That's all I got to say. Took a while. It was a lot. There was only 16 chances over three seasons, if that tells you anything. But
there were some rough picks. They were trying to pick them as a surprise upset pick, and they let you down, unfortunately. But
there were some times, yeah. But no, this is a good one. So anyways, just recap it. Start at the bottom, work our way up here. 3-14 record for the Vikings, with the Bears right above them. That is a 5-12 record with the Bears, and the Packers at 11-6-2, and then the Lions with 15-2 at the top.
We'll go ahead and wrap things up with our fan vote now. For the Lions, they have them at 11-6 at the top. Green Bay at 10-7, 8-9 for the Bears, and 6-11 for the Vikings. So all 3 of us with the same order, just a little bit different variation in records. So it looks like we have a very competitive AFC North and an NFC North where the Lions will take hold, but should be a very interesting one nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is really going to be a fun season. Obviously, the North is always that tough division. You never really know which way they're going to go because they're always going to play each other tough. And that's both sides, AFC and NFC. Every single game you see a North matchup is terrifying because you don't know, as a fan of those teams, which one's going to come out on top. You could be having the worst season, Bears, and go up against a great team like the Lions and beat them just because it's in division. But any other team, you'd be a 20-point dog. There's no, it's that crazy in the North that even look at sports books, everything like that. When these teams play, it's almost a wash. They almost just give the bare minimum amount of points favored to the home team because there's so few chances for these northern teams to really blow out the others, unless they're in the playoffs and the Browns wipe the floor with the Steelers because the Steelers scored on themselves 3 times. But I digress.
28-0 defense scored 3 times, or Steelers shot the ball over there. That was an absolute mess. But we digress. Once again, we appreciate y'all for joining us for this week in the NFL predictions by division, finishing up the North. Once again, too, if you haven't checked it out, be sure to head over to the Belly Up YouTube page to check out our recap from the Fantasy Football Expo. We do have 3 episodes encompassing our 3 days there. Some good, some interesting, and some fun nonetheless. We get the chance to talk with some known faces that maybe you've seen either on our show before, some other shows we've done, or some people you've seen on the TV screen as well, and a lot more. So there's a lot to look for. It's a wonderful time and awesome experience. We plan on bringing a lot more fantasy football and betting moving forward as well. So it's great to get a chance to be around a lot of people that think the same way. Once again, too, if you haven't checked it out either, look at our AFC South prediction videos as well to see what we have going on there. Next week, it'll be either the East or the West. You're going to have to stay tuned to see exactly which one that is. But we do appreciate y'all for hanging out with us this week, and we will see you all again next week.